Well, we're off to a great start. We don't record for 3 weeks, and I forget one of the cords that allows us to plug in one of the mics in the recording system. So we're using one mic. All right, you ready to go?
Yeah.
Well, it's Wednesday night, and we are at Rachel's apartment, which must mean it's Starformers night. Welcome to Rebels and Robots, episode 40. What does that look?
I'm just...
Oh, I thought I thought I said something funny, or you were laughing about something. I'm Cameron.
I'm Rachel.
This is our weekly chat about Star Wars and...
Transformers, but it's actually bi-weekly now.
Bi-weekly, thank you. I was about to say I can read the intro without having... I can say the intro from memory and not have to read it, but now you're right. That is our bi-weekly chat, but now it's been 3 weeks. What is this? It's our regular chat about Star Wars and Transformers. We don't have a super specific thing to talk about today. We're just gonna it's been 3 weeks, so we've probably got a good amount of news to talk about and other generally interesting information. Good number of memes stack up over 3 weeks. And our main topic today, we will just be talking about our favorite moments from Ahsoka, just with some distance, talk about what we liked about it. And then we will also talk about the future of this podcast. And look forward to that. We'll talk about that at the end. So to kick us off, as always, Rachel is our go-to source for news. Rachel, what do you got?
Well, so this is neither news, content, or meme. I mean, it is some content. But a larger view of the Force's Star Wars podcast posted this tweet 3 weeks ago. That's how long I've been waiting to show this. They posted a picture of Din Djarin. No thoughts, head empty. What is a Star War? And alongside it, a picture of Baylan Skoll, so aware that he's in Star Wars that it's ruined his life. It's very, very good tweet. I thought it was very funny. So anyways, on to the news. I guess 3 weeks ago, or 2 weeks ago, Matthew Vaughn, who's the director of Kingsman and X-Men First Class, in an interview, talked about why. Well, I guess he thinks Star Wars should have a reboot. And now,
did he say he thinks it should, or did he say what he would do if they let him reboot?
The quote that's been circulated a lot is, "Why are the Star Wars characters so hallowed that from 1977 you can't redo it for a new audience?" He thinks they should reboot Star Wars and only focus on the Skywalker family.
Well, the irony of that is they very heavily focus on the Skywalker family in the new trilogy, and that's almost to the fault of, focusing too much on the legacy characters is kind of the issue. And the most interesting stuff we've seen is the stuff that breaks away from the Skywalker family. The farther you get, honestly, it almost seems like the more interesting it gets. Not inherently, but I mean, we're talking about Andor being the best thing, that and Last Jedi, and say again?
Since sliced bread?
Sorry, what? I got headphones in, so I'm having trouble hearing you.
Andor, the best thing since.
Oh, sliced bread. Okay. My brain was not ready for that to be the words you were saying, so it was not interpreting that.
It's not funny anymore. Now I've had to say it 3 times.
Now it's so funny it's so unfunny that it's funny. But yeah, this kind of stuff I tend to kind of ignore. Here's one thing, if I'm remembering correctly, I do believe he was offered Force Awakens, and what I remember reading, take it with a grain of salt because it's the internet, in my memory, but I seem to remember reading that he turned it down because it had a female lead.
Ooh.
Which is not cool.
Ooh.
At all.
Ooh.
And I don't know if that's true, but if that is indeed true, if he was offered it and he did turn it down because of the female lead, I don't really want him involved in Star Wars. And I like his work. Matthew Vaughn's actually probably one of my more favorite working directors between the movies such as Kick-Ass. X-Men First Class is my favorite X-Men film, one of my favorite superhero films. Kingsman is a super fun movie. He also made a really fun fantasy film called Stardust. So I love his work, but yeah, maybe don't love him as much professionally. But I am looking forward to his new film because it has Henry Cavill in it. Yeah. I guess that just raises the question, would you be interested in a remake of the original Star Wars? I would definitely give it a chance. I think if someone was willing to, with a unique vision, but then again, the chances of it just being Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon, like, how different is that from a straight up remake?
It's just, we're going to remake Star Wars, and the only thing they add in is adult themes. And
which is exactly what Matthew Vaughn would do. He's known for his very R-rated take on things, which would not necessarily be terrible in a Star Wars context, but as a remake, that was kind of what Zack Snyder's take on the superhero stuff was when he did his own Justice League and Batman Superman. It was just to make it edgy and cool.
And that's kind of how he describes Rebel Moon.
Exactly. Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah. But like, I guess if I had to choose between what we got in a remake, I would definitely take what we got. I much more prefer expand out the universe on the existing lore. But you do risk, Star Wars is already kind of oversaturated. But if it's already oversaturated, throwing in another thing I don't think would hurt. And I would be interested in, like, okay, so what makes me think about is in the early 2000s, Marvel had been maintaining the same comic book continuity since the 60s. And they kept that going. But simultaneous to that, they also started the Ultimate Universe, which is the most famous thing that came out of that was Miles Morales. They had a whole other Marvel comic universe that was new and retold all the classic stories. And the execution is infamously lopsided. But I think the concept of maintaining the original universe and a new universe at the same time that does it in a different way, I think is intriguing, to say the least. And I think if you... what would be the benefits of that? Do you start from episode 1 and then retell the prequel stories? That could be really cool. If you start the prequels from where you know where the story is going to go, that could be more interesting. If it's just a remake of the original trilogy, again, you tell the complete story knowing where it's going to go. I think some things that would be a benefit of that, one of the biggest, not necessarily problems, but what kind of does pigeonhole Star Wars is it is all, to some degree, based off George Lucas's style, or the style of the late 70s, early 80s. With a new thing that's supposed to be different, you could, on a filmmaking level, tell the story differently. You could potentially be less dialogue heavy and be more... You wouldn't have to be so literal, because I think Star Wars movies are meant to maybe it'd be lower budget than... Rather than spending $250 million on it, give them $50 million and force it to maybe kind of replicate that magic of the original movie where they were having to be creative and use the resources
so that's going to require them to pay artists, so they're not going to do that.
Yeah. And kind of on a similar note, we haven't really talked about this much since we first mentioned it, when neither of us have seen it yet, but Gareth Edwards' film that's kind of Star Wars adjacent. Gareth Edwards made Rogue One. He had a new movie this year called it was the AI film.
The creator?
The creator, yes. Yeah. Shot for like $80 million because he shot with smaller crews. He himself is an animation guy, so he knew exactly what shots he would need to get. They didn't shoot with big green screens or like sets or anything. They shot in real locations, but then added CGI on top of it. And so my point is something like that in Star Wars, like make a lower budget thing. People have been saying that for a while, but like this is all hypothetical. But like, these are hypothetical reasons why you would quote unquote reboot Star Wars.
But I think if I had to choose between a reboot and just a new movie, I'd choose a new movie.
Oh, absolutely, yes, absolutely.
Like, what would be the point of a reboot?
Yeah, I don't think it'd be the best idea, but I think if it doesn't come at the cost of anything else, if it would be like an additional thing, that would be what. But I don't think Matthew Vaughn would be the guy, in my opinion, even though I like his work.
You're not that guy, pal. You're not that guy.
Cool. I have got some stuff here. Just a thought from a previous episode we talked about last time we recorded. We talked about the Clone Wars cartoons, and there's been a scene in the 2D animated Clone Wars that's always just stuck out to me as really odd. And as I was thinking about it this time, I finally realized.
Is it the C-3PO scene? Because that's weird.
Yeah, that is for humor. The reason it exists is for humor, but it's somewhat related. Very shortly after that, it does a montage of what's like a time to be able to jump the time between the end of the last show and the beginning of this one, where they want to be closer to episode 3. They do a montage of a much more Clone Wars stuff, and Anakin gets knighted, and he gets his Padawan braid cut off, and he sends it to Padme.
Burnt hair.
And C-3PO and R2 deliver the braid to Padme. She opens it. She turns. She gives this very weird look at the droids, and then, with absolutely zero dialogue, R2 delivers a message, a hologram message to Anakin. Padme's hologram gestures off to the side, and it's kind of unclear what she's doing, and then R2 goes with her. What I realized after thinking about it is she gifted him R2. R2 has never been Anakin's droid before episode 3. He is originally she's with Padme, and then you get to episode 3 and suddenly Anakin has him with him. That little scene explains why Anakin cares about R2, because R2 is a gift from Padme.
C-3PO was Anakin's droid. And who does C-3PO end up with throughout pretty much the rest of the films? Not Anakin.
That's true. I hadn't even thought about that part. So that is something that is not explained, but is a very cool little detail, at least in what we watched. Is that ever brought up in the 3D animated Clone Wars, how Anakin came into possession of R2?
If it was, I don't remember it.
Yeah. So I think that's a very small sequence.
Fond of him the whole time.
But at the end of episode 2, Anakin's never spent any time with R2-D2.
I guess he was his best man at the wedding.
Well, C-3PO makes more sense as his, and that makes R2 the maid of honor.
But there's a short arc. I don't know if it's short arc. It's either 2 or 4 episodes where Anakin loses his Jedi Starfighter in an explosion. R2 survives. I can't remember how plot armor. R2 survives, but Anakin's like, I gotta go find my droid. And Obi-Wan is like, Anakin, because he lost R4 or whatever. He's like, Anakin, we'll just get you a new droid. It's fine. And Anakin almost flips out because he's like, absolutely, no, it's not the same. And Obi-Wan's like, let's just get you a new droid. And it's a very interesting dynamic. But
yeah, so I guess you could infer from the 3 movies that Anakin likes R2 because he belonged to Padme, but there's never that one little scene in the 2D animated Clone Wars, I think, says a lot.
Yeah.
And especially Genndy Tartakovsky, that's one of his skills, is nonverbal storytelling. And so while it's taking me many years to finally figure it out, it is rewarding that I now get it. And I think it is well worth including. Cool. What other news you got?
I didn't even know this was a thing, but what is Star Wars if not announcing movies that never see the light of day? Apparently, Kevin Feige, the president of Marvel Studios, confirmed that his Star Wars film will no longer be made. I didn't even know he was on the block for a Star Wars film.
Yeah, very similar to Rian Johnson's supposed trilogy. That's all that was ever announced, was that this one guy was making a thing.
Maybe we did mention this earlier in the podcast.
I think it briefly came up before, but there's never been any details released about it.
Kevin Feige movie.
Other than maybe he'd want Scarlett Johansson for it, was maybe the only news I possibly heard, but I can't even remember if that was either true or even confirmed. And I may not even heard that. So, yeah, I'm not shocked
Oh no!
whatsoever.
What a devastating loss for the Star Wars.
It's
possibility.
I was just reading before we started recording that Bob Iger is looking to cut spending at Disney next year. So that unfortunately means already the chances of any given Star Wars movie getting made is already low.
I feel like, well, continue.
Well, just like it was kind of wild in the age of Marvel dominance, and they were just churning them out. They wanted to make Star Wars like Marvel. And I'm not saying we should have had multiple Star Wars movies a year. We got one a year for 5 years. For 2015, yeah. 5 different years, 4-year span, but it was 5 different years, 2015 to 2019. But then once they hit 2019, Rise of Skywalker, things did not pan out the way they wanted it to. And then 2020 happened, and
COVID.
Things just never got a chance to return to the way they were. I think we missed the boat on having surefire shots at Star Wars films. Now we're in this era of it. Who knows?
And I really feel like out of the 3 that were announced at Star Wars Celebration, the ones that are going to make it through are Dave Filoni's and the one about Rey, because they've already brought back Daisy Ridley.
Yeah, I take nothing for granted. I think it really depends. I think a lot of people, I don't think this is original to me, but we're definitely in the streaming bubble right now. You had like the .com bubble of the 90s. You had the housing market bubble. We're definitely in the streaming bubble where lots and lots of money is being dumped into these streaming services.
And they're still raising their prices.
Yeah, well, that's why, because they're not profitable. They're raising prices because they're not making money, and they're having to, businesses are, with my very limited knowledge on this, effectively most major organizations and corporations in the United States, they rate success off of growth, and you can, that's their definition of success. So if you're not growing, quote unquote, you're not doing well. Even if you made the same amount of money 2 years in a row, that's seen as a failure because you didn't, quote unquote, grow. And therefore, and that's a terrible business model, I think, especially in media, because things fluctuate. They go up and down. And this is where Marvel destroyed everything for everyone, because Marvel did grow year after year, and that level of success was not sustainable for anyone. Not even Marvel could sustain that. Now, COVID really screwed everyone over, but my point is this .com bubble, the streaming bubble is going to crash at some point. It's going to pop at some point, and we'll see where that lands. It actually could be good. Here's what I'm thinking. We're starting to see, I think the trailblazer right now in like trying to speed run failure is HBO.
Oh, well,
or Warner Brothers specifically. They're the ones that for some reason they're constantly failing. I don't want to say upward, but failing sideways.
I think Disney just bought Hulu?
So Disney didn't just buy Hulu. Disney, when they acquired Fox, acquired majority ownership of Hulu. And at some point, they were going to continue to get more ownership over time because of different contracts. And at some point, we've known for a long time that they were going to gain, like, if not almost total control of Hulu.
I thought I saw that they had. Maybe I was wrong.
It's possible that's happened, but this is not a surprise. It didn't, like, that was part of the Fox thing. My point is, as Warner Media fails sideways in a downward trajectory, for some reason other people keep taking their lead, because what Warner does is, in order to stay afloat, they keep coming up with more dastardly plans, like taking stuff off streaming forever and getting tax breaks is the big one.
Yep.
What they are doing now, which is actually, in my perspective, a very good thing, is they are licensing off things like DC to other companies to make, not necessarily movies, but like cartoons and animated films and other kinds of media. The best thing that could happen would be Disney Plus totally goes under, tanking Disney stock, and they're forced to probably not sell the rights to Star Wars, but license it off so other people can make other Star Wars stuff. And hopefully they would look at something like Vision and say, wow, other people can make amazing Star Wars stuff for us. We can get profits just because we own the right license, and other people can make it for us so we don't have to spend money on the actual production. So while that would obviously tank these genuinely exciting movies, the 3 movies that they have announced, the 25,000 Year in the Past Jedi origin movie, Rey's sequel film, whatever... Mandoverse, quote unquote, Filoni movie would make.
Those the Empire.
I would love to see all 3 of those films, but I would much rather see the chance for other people to make, hopefully, movies. That is my response to that.
My former coworker friend, I just tweeted. I think he retweeted something. It was either Disney Plus or HBO Max doing streaming shenanigans. He said, "I'm just going to start buying DVDs again."
Yeah, absolutely.
But the thing is, they're not making DVDs anymore.
Yeah, that is the unfortunate circumstance we're in. Is you don't get a physical copy of anything that's new, so you don't ever have a chance. But my response to that is yo ho ho.
You just make DVDs now. They still sell like CDs, right?
I have not news, but an interesting bit of information that I found. There's a man by the name of Joseph. He is the lead singer of the band Toto, famous for like the song Africa and Roxanne. And Roxanne. And he was also something that you would be interested in. He was part of the band that performed songs on Lion King. So he's credited as performer on Hakuna Matata and Can You Feel the Love Tonight? He didn't write them. Those are Elton John. But he performed them. Well, this man, his first name is Joseph. His last name is Williams. He is the son of John Williams.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not. So the son of John Williams, famous composer of Star Wars and also Superman and E.T. and Indiana Jones, is the lead singer of Toto and also performed on Lion King soundtrack.
Oh my gosh.
That was kind of a fun Star Wars adjacent fun fact that I discovered recently that I thought was really amusing. And he also has done the score for a bunch of movies, but they're all like B grade, very low tier films I've never even heard of. So
we want John Williams. Well, we can't get John Williams.
We've got John Williams at home. Joseph Williams. Who's probably very talented. His film work is nowhere near as iconic. I don't know why I was expecting Joseph when I Google searched Joseph and looking at the suggested results. I expected his name to come up faster, and when the first suggestion was Joseph Stalin, I don't know why. I was surprised for some dramatic turn there. Let's quickly... Here's a photo of him. He's wearing... where is it? Aviators and a... what is that, a beret? And he's got
looks like
red
a newsboy cap, but backwards.
Yeah. And he's got a black vest, and he's got kind of almost a Han Solo look going.
I was going to say, he's kind of like...
Except for it's not a white t-shirt, it's a white button-up shirt. But his IMDb, let's take a look. See if you recognize any of these films he's worked on. Because just because I haven't recognized him doesn't mean... he also did some films for the Goonies, songs for the Goonies.
Acceptable.
Okay, let's see. Composer. Do you recognize any of these films here? Soccer Dog, European.
Let me read! I've heard of North Shore.
He worked on the TV show Roswell.
Felicity.
Yeah, I forgot there was a lot of TV.
Stop it! Judgment Day. Chain of Command. I've heard.
Oh, an Ice-T film, Judgment Day.
My favorite Ice-T content is Law and Order SVU.
Yeah. So that's Mr. Joseph Stanley Williams, as he is sometimes credited. Just trying to distance himself.
Legend of Gatorface. We should talk about. We should watch that. We should watch that.
Good stuff. What other news you got?
So this is probably some of the most important news that we can talk about all night. So Star Wars at the Disney parks sells their two experience. You can build your own lightsaber from some stock options, or you can also
get stock options in Disney if you can make them into a lightsaber. That's phenomenal.
From a various
what a
group
great
of
investment.
options, so that it is still has some semblance of uniqueness, but someone has probably made a similar one, if not the exact same one, but it's different parts. Anyways, they also sell replica lightsabers of famous popular characters. This last month, they introduced Kanan Jarrus's lightsaber.
Oh, very good.
Which is very exciting because very slim pickings when it comes to Kanan content outside of Rebels. So very exciting for that to now be in the park. So go wild. Go spend $400. I'll tell you to do it. You do whatever you want. All right. What else do you have? I have some.
That's all I've got until we talk about our favorite scenes from Ahsoka.
All right. The last one I got, someone posted this. So there was a Wikipedia. I don't know why I said it like that. Wikipedia tweeted earlier in October, what is your most obscure piece of Star Wars knowledge? And someone, I just thought that was interesting because from an animation standpoint, it makes sense. In the Twin Suns episode of Rebels season 4, is that season 4 with Obi-Wan, or is that season 3?
I think it was 4.
That's what I think. Anyways, after the duel with Maul and Obi-Wan, Ezra has left at this point, and Obi-Wan has buried Maul. The final scene is Obi-Wan looking off into the distance, and we see the Lara's homestead. And we hear Aunt Beru call Luke in, and we see this tiny little figure like sprinting across the horizon. It was just a reused model of Ezra.
Oh, that's great. Oh, that's hilarious.
From an animation standpoint, makes absolute sense because they're going to be the same age. They're both skinny little guys, and from 4 pixels in the distance, you're not going to be able to tell it's the exact same model. It's called working smarter, not harder. So that was
love it. What else you got?
That's it.
That is it. Okay, so today's topic. We just wanted to recap what we liked about Ahsoka. Positive vibes.
I very specifically wanted to know your favorite scene.
My number one favorite
Yes.
scene. Oh, very specifically. I gave my top 3.
Oh, that's fine. We can do top 3, but I want we could go from like 3. I want your favorite.
So for me, number 3 is the chopper shenanigans. Specifically, when Hera was flying the ship and they were going after the droid was escaping with the big hyperdrive unit.
Did you go through my stuff?
Yes. So just classic chopper, like in a show that I feel like really whiffed a lot of times on characterization of these characters that we loved from Rebels. The chopper characterization was as good as it's ever been. Like going into Ahsoka really wanting, to some extent, Rebels season 5, that sequence was so classic Rebels. I'm not someone who feels like I always want the same thing over and over again. I'm very open to new stuff.
But Cameron, we could get Maul and Obi-Wan in live action. Don't you want everything recreated in live action so that way it's actually canon?
Rebels is canon. Shut up.
I'm being sarcastic.
I'm projecting onto you.
For those of you, if you can't tell, I'm being sarcastic.
But that scene was just so fun. And it just gave me a lot of joy. And I think this was like... This team doing what they do best, and I think that is all we can hope for. What would do you have a number 3? You'd say?
I really think. I had my first one ready. I had to quickly recap the show in my brain. One thing I really liked, and it's just a short scene, and it breaks my heart all the more, is the ending shot. I think where we see the characters end up. And specifically Balin's character. And it, like I said, it's even more heartbreaking considering that Ray Stevenson has since passed. There's so much open-endedness. But I want to know what Balin is seeking, if that makes sense. I feel like I said, knowing, obviously going into the season, that Ray Stevenson has passed makes it more bittersweet that that's the last time we will see him. But that scene just has so much potential.
Yeah.
Of potential where it could lead.
That's an interesting choice. I think on the one hand,
this is my third.
Yeah. Just for even just top 3, in the moment I found that ending very frustrating, just because I'm such typically I'm such an ending person. Mm-hmm. I will enjoy the ride, but the ride is only as good for me typically as good as the ending is. And cliffhangers, and I love cliffhangers in film because I always know, okay, the next movie, you typically know how far the next movie is. There's going to be a conclusion in that film. Mm-hmm. But when a television show has a cliffhanger ending, I'm like, okay, how many seasons until I get an actual conclusion? But as just when we did talk about, though, this feels like hopefully it's the first half, just the first half, as a midpoint cliffhanger. And there's not much dialogue, the facial expressions on the characters, wondering what's going to happen next. It is, especially I think with Balin specifically, that is a character we did not know before the beginning of this show. And by the end of this show, he's a character we care a lot about.
His figure sold out.
Yeah.
So one day I'll get it. I could probably pre-order it through Walmart, but why do that?
And so, I can totally see where you're coming from, for sure. Cool. My number 2 is not necessarily a specific scene. I wish I could narrow it down to a scene.
The essence.
But I guess it was just pretty much, I think it was episode 6. It was episode, they got to, what is the name of the planet in the other galaxy? Do you remember? It's okay. It's all right if you don't.
No, I know. Peridia.
Peridia. Thank you. Was episode 6 the first episode where they really... Because episode 5 was... Episode 5 was the World Between Worlds episode.
Yes.
Episode 6 was our first... So the episode 6 cliffhanger at the very end, we see Ezra. So then episode 7 is our first real episode with Ezra. Mm-hmm. So I would say just somewhere during episode 7 was when I realized Amandas Fondi was the perfect casting choice for Ezra.
He's Ezra.
Because that was one of my big question marks going into this show was, how good is this guy going to be? Mm-hmm. Because he is such a distinct character. He's the main character of Rebels. He's fan favorite. We love him. We're excited for him to come back. That little bit of him in the hologram in the first episode was not very convincing.
Ooh, and not a good angle for him. Short hair does not good for him.
So at some point, I guess if I had to narrow it down to one scene, it's that moment when Sabine tries to give him his lightsaber, and he says, no. Did I just steal your number 1?
You stole my number 2.
Okay, we have the same number 2 then. That's really cool. If I had to narrow it down to one number 2. So I'm glad that we agree on that. It's just was so, after a show that had many ups and downs quality-wise, for it to, at the end of the show, go on this upward trend of, wow, they really nailed live-action Ezra, that was very satisfying.
And I think it was a nice subversion of expectations, going... Ezra's gonna kill someone. Not that we're excited for things like that, but we're excited to see Ezra pick up his blade for the first time in so long.
Yeah.
There is a very funny moment, but of course, we love when Star Wars is fun and different. And so, for Ezra to go, I don't need a lightsaber. The Force is on my side. Killer. That is such... Mm-hmm. I don't want to say true Jedi, like not when you collect all the coins in Lego Star Wars, but he has been without his lightsaber for so long. He has probably grown in his connection with the Force to be able to have that confidence of, I don't need a lightsaber, the Force is on my side. Granted, in the next 30 seconds, he did pick up a blaster. Mm-hmm. Anyways, he started blasting. But it is such a... Yeah, I agree. Such a good build-up, subverting expectations. And I think especially just to go, oh, okay, let's see what he's got.
Yeah, I agree. So I'm glad that we came out on the same conclusion on that one. And I don't think it would have been the worst idea, but they could have very easily gone very, broken with him. He could have been very, broken down, bitter, dark, angry,
Obi-Wan?
vengeful. Yeah. And I am very pro keeping him having matured and progressed and become more of a Jedi.
And I love I think it's probably that episode 7 when he sees Sabine and he's like, I knew you guys would have come for me. Oh, like he never lost hope. He's been there for a hot second, but he never lost hope.
A hopeful character, especially when people were hypothesizing he might be Merrick. Or Enoch.
I hated those.
Either character, dark
anxious.
characters who were masked. Like there was these rumblings about he might have turned, he might be evil. Like went the exact opposite direction.
It would have made no sense for his character considering he fought against the same ploys that Palpatine used on Anakin, and Anakin fell. We see that in season 1. I think Palpatine tries to use the "Do you want your family back?" kind of thing. And he fought against it. So it would have made no sense for him to go to another planet and then turn.
Yeah, that's so true.
He fought the final boss and he won. Like, so. And with that, I also think it makes it all the more, I guess, sweeter when he builds his lightsaber again using the same schematics that Kanan would have used as a Padawan.
Yes, definitely.
Instead of taking his original, his blade, he makes a new one. He crafts a new one. So.
And so, my number one scene, again, I do have a specific scene but I just, the most fun I had in the whole show was the World Between Worlds. I think all of it was so visually interesting. It was, what I was saying earlier, Star Wars is often somewhat restricted stylistically because it's trying to be like the original movies, and there is some variation there, but it is still within a certain realm, and that is the most stylistically different we've had in the new stuff. It's a little more metaphorical. It's a little, like, it is just so fun and interesting and emotional, and I think that really comes to a head at the end of it when Ahsoka fights Anakin the second time, and he's alternating between Vader and Anakin, and his lightsaber's red, and the
Sith eyes
on both him and maybe her. Ahsoka. Their actions, their words. It was one of the very few times in Star Wars I actually had to work to try to analyze what was happening and try to understand what they were trying to say with it. I appreciated how complicated it was emotionally. That whole episode is so phenomenal, but it really boils into that scene just working so well. And it was the one time it felt like this is a Ahsoka show. That was like the episode. I was like, okay, this is purely about Ahsoka as a character, and it is working flawlessly. And then the follow-up, as we're talking about the whole episode, the follow-up of how she is, I guess it's the next episode, but when what she's like afterwards is so great too. Actually, it is the same episode, isn't it? When she talks to the space whales?
Yes.
Yeah, so phenomenal episode. But yeah, what's your number one scene?
It's from the same episode, but it is the hyperspace jump with the Purgle.
Nice.
All right, get ready. I think and it's such a short part. Obviously, the focus on that episode. Honestly, the focus on that episode has been so much Hayden Christensen. The world between worlds. I almost said War of the Worlds. Amazing. But I specifically love the scene at the end of the hyperspace jump from where Ahsoka speaks to the Purgle to where they jump and the episode ends. I think, first of all, the visuals. I think at this point we get a really impressive scale of the size of the Purgle. The New Republic has shown up. They're ready to be all lawful. And the Purgle are bigger than their ships. The visuals, it's just, like I said, you have an amazing comparison of the Purgle. And I think from Rebels we're like, oh, they're big. They took Thrawn's ship and yeeted out of there. But I think something about seeing that in maybe like a live action form gives a better idea of, they're large. And I don't think that's something we typically, like, for us, something that would be similar size would be like a blue whale. We don't see blue whales. The normal average person doesn't see a blue whales unless you're like a marine biologist. But I think the visuals and the music in that scene is my favorite track out of the whole season. And that's coming from someone who picked up Where the Sun Sails and the Moon Walks from the first opening note when it played in the epilogue. It's my favorite track because there's so many aspects. I think so many things playing into it that when that scene starts, you start to get this feeling coming in like, we're going to see something that we haven't seen before. The New Republic shows up, and the Purgler come in. They get scared. More because from an aspect of, we're going to lose our ships if we don't move. But I think there's something very moving about that scene. From the music, and I think from the feeling, for me, watching that brings up a few other similar scenes, but kind of like gets me going in a good way. The music, beautiful. I think it's the best track. And in my opinion, I think the music sounds just a hair like Omega's theme from The Bad Batch. It's got the same kind of air of whimsy and adventurous, and I think it kind of gives that same feeling because when you listen to Omega's theme, you're seeing it, it's almost like from her perspective. She's seen something entirely brand new that she's never seen before, and there's an air of hope to it. And I think this music in the hyperspace jump does the same thing. Star Wars tracks with that layer of apprehension, but an overarching theme of hope and aspiration. They're my favorite because I feel like that's what Star Wars is. Star Wars is hope, persevering. You see it here. I think you see it in Omega's theme. You hear it in Rey's theme. And I even think you hear it in Marva's eulogy music, which is my favorite track from Andor. I feel like as you are watching this and as the music builds up, there are things that are kind of, I don't know, playing into your senses or your thoughts. Like, we're about to see something that we haven't seen before. And granted, yes, they ended up at another planet in Ahsoka. But I think at this point, we've had so much build up that I think we're also we're kind of like, this is it. We are going into quite literally uncharted waters. Anything could happen. And I think I love that aspect of Star Wars. Like I said, I think that overarching theme of Star Wars is hope, persevering in the face of desperation and fear. Continuing to fight against it. And you see it here, I think, and it kind of gives me the same feeling that I got, like that hype, like, yes, we're going, that I actually got in Rise of Skywalker. My favorite scene in Rise of Skywalker, now the music is not similar because I compared it. My favorite scene in Rise of Skywalker is actually towards the end. It's after Palpatine has brought down all the rebel ships, and the Star Destroyers notice something new in the atmosphere, and they're like, it's a fleet. We're under attack. And that line, I can't remember who says it, says, no, it's just people. And it's not an organized fleet. The Ghost is there. I think someone confirmed that. Yes. I think the Ghost might be there. But it's just people. And I think it just, like I said, continues to lead into this theme of an Andor, of people fighting against something bigger than themselves for the betterment of the entire galaxy. And I just feel like that scene encapsulates it. Because them leaving the galaxy, they're going to go fight Thrawn. Well, they're not going to go fight Thrawn. The goal is to stop Thrawn, but also in a way, they are also going against the New Republic. Because the New Republic has gone to stop them. And they are still staying on their path, despite knowing what is against them. So, all that to say, those 2-3 minutes of the hyperspace jump are my favorite.
Love it. Great explanation. Yeah, great breakdown. I appreciate that very much.
So now go listen to Hyperspace Jump. by Kevin Kiner, and go listen to Omega's theme. It's not the exact same, but as I listened to it right after the other, there were some times where I could hear similarities, but I also feel like the timing of the melodies had some similarities. So,
Very cool.
Also go listen to Ray's theme. That's one of your favorite tracks.
Yes.
And
100%.
go listen to Eulogy from the Andor trilogy. That, gosh, such a good track. All good tracks. That's it. That's my top ones. My top one.
Love it. Yeah. I think it's fun to focus on the positives. Like, if it's totally cool to not like a thing, I mean, we definitely had our own criticisms of the show, and it's totally cool to be disappointed by something, but it is fun after a few weeks to sit back and see, like, these were some moments that we did really connect with and did really enjoy. And that's really special, I think. So next, well, before we move on, I think we did miss something we wanted to talk about before. You want to explain this thing right here?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I went for context. I went home a couple weeks ago to work on a project with my dad, and that project, I needed a towel, like bring it back so the project wouldn't like break on the way home if I had, I don't know, an accident. And you'd keep it safe, some padding. My dad goes, "Oh, let me get you a towel." Is the tag still on it? Because I wonder what year it says.
This
oh my
has gotta
gosh,
be
it
original.
does. It's the original copy. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm gonna see if I can try to find it. So my dad goes back into the house and he pulls out a towel. And I remember this towel from my childhood. It's technically my brother's towel. Sorry, brother, it's mine. It is an original Phantom Menace Episode 1 beach towel. It is faded and it's old, but it was so funny that is the one that he brought out. I don't know if he picked it up on accident or if he went, "Oh, Rachel likes Star Wars. I'll just give her this one." Or maybe he thought it was mine. I'm trying to find out what year it was. But here we've got at Lucasfilm and TV, or at Lucasfilm and TV, all rights reserved, made in El Salvador. Sorry. El Salvador, no, my bad. Tumble dry on low setting.
Oh my gosh. Man, we really scraping the bottom of the barrel for content.
But I cannot find the year. Oh, that doesn't tell me.
It's the faded.
It is the faded. But so it's like the Phantom Menace poster.
Yeah.
In towel form.
And it's very well replicated. I think the most notable quality about it is because his face is the biggest one on here, Qui-Gon's face is very smooth. He looks very pretty.
Smooth, man.
Because, like, everyone else's face is quite a bit smaller. I mean, like, Padme's face is already very smooth because she's got so much makeup on. But, like, Jar Jar, Anakin, Obi-Wan... And Anakin's a young boy, so that makes sense. But Obi-Wan's pretty small.
Jake Lloyd Anakin.
Yeah, exactly. But Qui-Gon's face is so big, but he's got zero lines or blemishes. He really does... I mean, this is giving very strong kin vibes.
It really is.
Like, he...
And you've got Maul's eyes up in the background, too. It's like...
It just catches you a bit off guard. But also, I can just imagine just... Because typically, I think probably for good reason, towels are normally very simple. Mm-hmm. This is just the movie poster, which is
exactly,
very
and
funny.
I love it. See, that was my brother's, and I had a Lion King one.
It's very emblematic of how much merch that existed.
And how much we've been robbed.
Uh-huh.
Can you imagine having a towel for each of the movies?
Good stuff.
What towel would you like to bring to the beach today? Episode 4.
Well, before we get to... I'm sorry, did you have something else?
I did realize we have a correction.
Okay.
3 weeks ago, we told you we would be watching an episode of Beast Wars.
Oh, yeah.
And we didn't.
We haven't done it yet. We'll probably do it at some point.
Emphasis on probably.
We ended up watching JonTron tonight instead.
I suggested G1.
Yeah. I wasn't in the mood, I guess. So next note is a note on the future of the podcast. We're still planning on continuing to do bi-weekly for the time being until there's like a show out, which might not be very long.
Could be Acolyte if they just drop it out of nowhere.
Yeah. Well, okay, I keep getting Acolyte and Skeleton Crew mixed up. They aren't... Acolyte's still a little while. It's Skeleton Crew. I think they could come out at any time.
Can you imagine they just drop Acolyte?
I'm down for anything.
Here you go.
But also, I think the actor strike just finished, and so I think they're really we'll probably start now getting more release dates. But so we're planning on still doing bi-weekly until we have a show to talk about that's coming out weekly. We have decided to pivot the podcast just a bit, and we're still fully working on this. But the idea is, I mean, the broad idea behind Rebels and Robots really was just us getting together every week. We have shared interests, and the two big ones that were shared between us were Rebels and Robots, Star Wars and Transformers. Oh, and Qui-Gon just moved by himself, and it freaked me out.
Yikes.
We decided to not limit it anymore. Just simply make it Rebels and Robots and blank, and Rebels and Robots and etc. Rebels and Robots and whatever. We still haven't decided quite, but pretty much any given week we will, if we're talking about something other than Rebels and Robots, it's going to be Rebels and Robots and blank. And
a very probable option is Godzilla.
So yes, the other major thing that Rachel and I have bonded over the years is our love of Godzilla films, specifically the newer ones. Not that we necessarily love the newer ones more than the old ones, but those are the ones that we like watch together.
I think we went and saw King of the Monsters together with some other people.
Yes, that was the...
And then I went and saw it, like, not even like a full week later, I think, by myself again.
And that was, what year was that?
Is that 2019?
2019, yes. And why?
Because we had the Regal passes.
That makes sense. Yeah.
We saw a lot of movies.
And so...
we had passes to a local movie theater.
And then... why that is relevant, because I don't think they have a set release date, but... Apple is going to be releasing a Godzilla. So, for those who don't know, in 2014, when they came out with the reboot of the American Godzilla, it was meant to kick off a Marvel-esque series that would also feature King Kong. And then they made a King Kong movie that was like kind of a prequel movie.
2017 Skull Island.
Yes.
I actually really enjoyed that one.
Really fun movie. And then they made Godzilla King of Monsters, which is the sequel to the Godzilla film, and then they make Godzilla versus King Kong,
which is a movie.
And so across these movies, across this series is Monarch, which is pretty much this movie universe's version of S.H.I.E.L.D. from the Marvel universe. And so the new TV show is called Monarch. And I don't know if you've seen this,
the G.I. Joe initiative from.
Yeah. And so this TV show is called Monarch. Seemingly, its primary thing is it's going to be jumping back and forth between the modern day and like the 70s or 80s.
Because we're getting young and old.
Yes. So one character will be played by, the older version will be played by Kurt Russell. Mm-hmm. And the younger version will be played by his son, Wyatt Russell, which I am so hyped for. But we were also, if you haven't seen, we're getting to some extent John Goodman's character from Godzilla Kong Island.
Kong Skull Island. Who died in Skull Island.
Yes.
So he died in the 70s because it was just post-Vietnam.
And he founded Monarch, didn't he? At least he was a very, like...
I think you're right.
Prominent, like... He was, like, the only guy at some point. But this is a fun universe that we really enjoy. But we just love... Shin Godzilla is one of the more popular recent Japanese films that we also both love.
And Godzilla 1 will be coming out as well, which is...
Godzilla -1, correct?
Is it -1?
I think it's called Godzilla -1.
Well, there's a Godzilla and a 1 in the trailer.
Yeah, it's called Godzilla -1.
I think going to be very similar to the 1954. Like, it's going to be like a remake.
Yeah, while most people know Godzilla as a city-destroying monster... The vast majority of films he's in, he's actually the good guy, if you're not familiar with. He's normally fighting another monster.
And if you've only seen the 1998 one, you need to watch some more Godzilla movies.
So, it's actually, within the canon of Godzilla, is actually it's more rare for them to make, especially Japan. When America does it, they normally make him what people expect him to be, which is destroying a city. But it's less common for Japanese studios to make one about him being destructive. So this Godzilla -1, going back to where things started, I feel like this feels like it's very much trying to capitalize off the popularity of Shin Godzilla, but in a different way. So we're both very excited to see this film. It'll be playing for like one night on a Wednesday night, which is funny. So we are planning to see it in
podcasting live from the theater.
And I'm very excited to see this film. That will be on November 29th. So that will be we're planning on podcasting next week. We haven't decided what we're going to talk about. Probably do Beast Wars. But we haven't fully decided on that. And then our next episode, so 2 episodes from now, we're planning on Godzilla -1. But some other things we might talk about. We both really love animation. So
in case you didn't know,
I'm just not realizing if we get a chance to see Hayao Miyazaki's new film whenever that comes out,
The Boy and the Heron,
we would love to talk about that.
Not to side tangent too much, but can you tell I was waiting for you to respond the other day when I texted you about the cast? If you haven't seen the cast, watch the trailer and try to figure out who voices the Heron, and then look at the cast. Just guess and then look.
And that comes out in December in the U.S., so hopefully we'll get a chance to watch that next year. So like I said, we've got 2 different upcoming Godzilla. The Japanese Godzilla film.
She's scared by the towel.
It's okay. It's just smooth-faced Liam Neeson. Don't worry about it.
She's looking at Jar Jar.
As far as the animation department, we love animation, but also very specifically, we both love Kung Fu Panda. Oh, poor baby. She doesn't like the moving towel.
Kung Fu Panda 4!
Kung Fu Panda 4 comes out March 29th. So that will be one we'll probably talk about next year.
I'm going to cry on the podcast if it's bad. I will actually cry on the podcast. Live cry reaction.
Yeah, because we both love the whole trilogy. The whole trilogy is so good.
It's a good trilogy.
Yeah, highly. So we might talk about that at some point. There's another Godzilla movie, Godzilla X Kong. So it's the sequel to Godzilla vs. Kong. Not super excited for that, but maybe if there were good elements to Godzilla vs. Kong.
There was a lot of cut good elements.
Yes. And some other possible ones for now. This is looking out farther into the future, but it's not one we've talked about a lot. But you and I both seem to really like the Alien movie. At least, the Xenomorph is an amazing creature. And if you don't know what that is, you have the original film Alien, the sequel Aliens, then Alien 3, Alien Resurrection. And then you have the Prometheus movies. But the alien in those series is called a xenomorph. Very iconic design. And there's a new one coming out next year, August, called Alien Romulus.
That's actually news to me. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was news to me as well. I think I kind of knew about it. We both really like Knives Out. And you like Knives Out, don't you? Mm-hmm. Yeah, mostly because of Jamie Lee Curtis, I feel like. But
you mean the movie? You mean the movie that was successful because of its predecessors?
Oh, yeah. Okay, there's a joke that Rachel had.
Joke? It's true.
That Knives Out ran because a certain movie walked first. What movie was that, Rachel?
Hoodwinked.
Animated film Hoodwinked. But Knives Out 3 might come out next year.
Oh, shoot.
So we'll definitely talk about that, I think, if it comes out. So there's some possible... And we might... there's a new Pixar film next year. We might talk about that. Though... That may have gotten delayed by a whole year.
What movie?
So I don't remember. I just remember that there was a Pixar film coming out next year that got delayed. But I don't know if there's another Pixar film coming out next year.
I don't know if we'll talk about Disney's Wish.
Not particularly interested. But I think what this opens up to is something comes out unexpectedly. The cat is being... She's got not the zoomies, but she's being way more active. Zoomies snooping. For her.
She's snooping.
If something comes out and we hear it's amazing, I don't know if necessarily when Coco came out. I don't know if we would have been super excited about Coco, but once it came out, people were talking all about it. We probably would.
Did make me ugly cry.
So that would have been a good one if that come out. Mm-hmm. If something like that, if something comes out and we just hear it's absolutely amazing and it's not on our radar. But these are some things that we do have on our radar for the time being. Is there anything else that you feel like we have shared interests in? I feel like we both really love animated music videos, so we could talk about that at some point. We could share some of our favorite animated music videos.
Oh boy.
/ animated shorts. I think we both are really passionate about that. Let's see. So, Inside Out 2 is definitely coming out next year.
Oh, maybe that's what it was.
But there's another one called Elio, which is like a little boy gets abducted by aliens or something.
I feel like I just saw the first stuff come out about that.
Yeah, I think that got delayed by a whole year. But, so there's some vague...
Maybe they've learned how to market things
Yeah.
by the time these come out.
There's some very broad options on what we can talk about. We're not gonna narrow it down too much. But is there anything else that we have shared interests on other than?
Well, see, now that you ask, I can't think of it.
Yeah. But yeah, I just wanted to give a picture of what we might be talking about in the future. There's supposedly a sequel to Passion of the Christ coming out next year.
What?
Well, see, what I did not know, this is going to go way off on a tangent, just since I brought it up. I never saw the end of the Passion of the Christ.
I've never seen the Passion of the Christ. I've only seen the first 20 minutes.
Ends with his death.
Yeah.
This one is called Passion of the Christ Resurrection, which is very funny because that's a very common subtitle for a lot of movies, like a word that starts with R-E. But so it sounds like an action movie, but that is what you would call the sequel to Passion of the Christ. It's about the resurrection
Passion of the Christ 2 Electric Boogaloo. He's back.
I'm trying to see if there's anything else coming out next year. Obviously there will be more Star Wars and more Transformers. We'll definitely still cover that. There'll be hopefully Transformers 1, the animated film.
Tales of the Jedi season 2 should hopefully become maybe a Bad Batch season 3.
Yeah, we should get into a run at some point next year where we'll have a good amount of Star Wars stuff again. But until then, is the kitty looking for water? Oh, she's pissed. There's no running water, just gross
We turned her fountain off.
So we'll definitely get to Star Wars, but until we get back to that, we just kind of wanted to open up. We didn't want to be forced to always be talking about Star Wars and Transformers, because really the fun of this podcast is just to talk about things we both care about, and we'll see what things unexpectedly arise with this new format. And we might just some weeks talk about our favorite things, talk about whatever. Anything to add, Rachel?
Godzilla.
Yeah, it's fun that's going to come up on the docket. I look forward to getting to hopefully watch Monarch. I hope Monarch is good.
We could do what I did last summer and just watch all of the old Godzilla movies from the Toho era.
I think there's not a lot to talk about there.
Well, so here's the thing. You watch the first 5, then the next 6 are just reused shots from all the other movies.
Hilarious. Okay, well, on to what you've all been waiting 3 weeks for. The crown jewel of this podcast. No matter what the name or topic, there's always Meme Minute, but it's way longer than a minute. 3 weeks worth of memes. Here we go.
Not 3 weeks worth of memes because I cut mine down.
3 weeks of curated memes. Rachel, do you have any videos?
I don't.
Okay, well, I've got 2 here. I don't remember what they are, so we'll see what this is.
Mm-hmm. I'm proud of you, you know that. I hope you do.
It's Mr. Rogers, but he's got Emperor Palpatine's robe poorly photoshopped on him, and it just says Palpatine after Anakin returned from his youngling massacre.
Proud of you know that. I hope you do.
All right, what else we got here?
I hope the world is watching.
The world is watching.
This is John Williams.
The worse you are, the more they'll love you.
I hope the world is watching.
They handed him a French horn.
The worse you are, the more they'll love you.
He blows into it, but they edited in the Jango Fett Slave One bomb sound. Really caught me off guard. Okay, what memes you got, Rachie?
I was trying to figure out what if I'd sent you any good videos. I sent you the one about Chopper, but everyone's seen some various form of that. Anyways, let's see your reaction.
So, in very similar vein to last time, someone's taken a Star Wars character and put them on a Taylor Swift album. I don't know this character's name, though.
I don't know his name either. It's the singer from Jabba's band, not Size Noodles.
He's like a big cockroach guy, or not maybe a cockroach, more like a flea.
I don't know.
Let's see. Another horrifying creature CGI creation from the episode 6 special edition. Droopy McCool, I believe is his
You're
name.
lying.
No, that is a name,
You're
but it might be a
lying.
different character. Let's see. No, that's the guy playing like the clarinet. I'm trying to find.
Well, he's the male voice or whatever in that
Yes.
famous song in the remastered.
Man, these names are insane.
So while Cameron's trying to find that, it's this character photoshopped onto the new 1989 album cover. But it says 1983 George's version. So...
And if you do somehow remember this song from episode 6, he's like the very low, like almost like jazzy musician, singer, or vocalist in there. I know he's got a funny name. I really want to. Okay, I think
If you play Heroes and Villains on the original Battlefront 2, this song comes into play on the Tatooine map.
but only when
I see
you
that.
walk into the cantina.
Oh, you're right.
His name is Joe Yowza. But his stage name, here's his full name. I'm not going to try to pronounce it because it's like
Are there
12 syllables long. He's from
Barely-
Indoor.
barely any
Vowels.
vowels?
No vowels. No, no, there's no vowels in there. Oh, there's an E at the beginning. There's a Y.
I said that with full chest confidence.
There
too.
are 2 vowels in this word. Anyways, so Joe Yowza, so on
So
that
to
album
match
cover.
this High Snoodles Eras tour poster, now we have the new one.
Very good. So this one I did not make just because I'm going to admit
That
that.
sounds like something.
No, we agreed not to lie about it. Which, for those who may be confused, we each make one meme every week, but then we don't tell the other person. We guess at the end. This one, it's much more the context that makes it just as funny. It's not a meme. This is totally sincere. I stumbled upon a Hayden Christensen fan page, not Anakin. That's specifically the celebrity Hayden Christensen, the actor who plays Anakin. And it's just a photo of him with a quote that says, "I listen to all sorts of different types of music. I also like to go back and look what's great. A lot of folk music. Recently I've come so far back, I've started listening to classical music. A lot of Bach, Beethoven, and Prokofiev. I've never seen this name before. Prokofiev. But it's just a picture of Hayden Christensen with headphones on, looking off into the distance, and a quote about the kind of music he's listening to. Absolutely bizarre. So strange.
Rather minion-esque vibes.
So anyways,
Minion
so less of a meme and more of a bizarre, what is I think intended to be kind of an inspirational quote. Anyways, what else you got?
This is a picture of Obi-Wan comparing the various styles that his character has been graced with.
Oh no!
But the thing is that it's all technically live action Ewan McGregor. So you've got live action, which is regular Ewan McGregor. Clone Wars is the same image, but with bigger eyes,
Oh yeah,
bright orange hair, and then the lines in the beard.
and they drew lines on
they
his
drew-
beard.
Oh, and we've got 2D Clone Wars. That's the one I actually hate the most. It's so cursed because it's so angular. And then the Lego one's pretty cursed too because they just put 2 black dots over his eyes. And it's pretty cursed. It's very visual, but this is the one I hate the most. I hate
the Lego one.
I hate it.
Which is a photo of live action Obi-Wan, but his hair again is bright orange, and they've just put black, like they've replicated what a Lego face looks like, 2 black dots and a black line for the mouth, and it is.
cursed.
So this is a reference to one of my favorite films. Have you ever seen the film Airplane?
Is that the comedy?
Yeah.
No.
So actually, most people probably wouldn't even get this joke because this film actually had an after credits scene.
I know what you're talking about, though. I know that.
The movie starts. Character is a taxi driver. A guy gets in the taxi, says, "I'll be right back," and he starts the meter, and then he runs off, and he gets on an airplane, and the rest of the movie happens. And it does, I think, once maybe cut back to the guy in the car waiting for him, but then the movie ends, the credits roll, you get to the end of the credit, it cuts back to the guy in the car, and he says, "Well, I'll give him another 20 minutes, but that's it." But in this meme, they've put Sabine's loath cat's face.
Oh, no.
And it says, "I'll give her another 20 minutes, but that's it." Such
real,
a good meme.
Sabine isn't back.
What was Merle? Was it the cat's name? Do you remember?
Was it?
They revealed
Murley or something?
Murley. I think that's what it was.
Because it wasn't Murphy.
Yeah. Such a good meme. One of my favorite movie scenes
Cameron,
and
if I
great
ever
use.
get stranded on another planet because my space whale ride dipped, you have to come feed Athena. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. It's part of your legal binding contract for this podcast.
What else you got?
Warning: Zeb throws objects. Please beware. His aim is accurate. It is
Bizarre.
the original poster. It's like a poster.
Yeah, it's like a warning sign at a
poster
zoo for this orangutan or something.
for a chimp.
Oh yeah,
And they
chimpanzee.
put-
Yeah.
And its name is Zeb, and they put Zeb for Rebel's face over it.
Yep, good stuff. Yoda describing Order 66 to some snakes and frogs on Dagobah, and it's a picture of President Biden. It says, "It was like 15 9/11s."
Oh my gosh, is that a real quote?
I've seen this going around. I don't know, but
Could be.
I just love the idea of Yoda going slowly insane, talking to the creatures on Dagobah, and be like, "It was like 15 9/11s it was."
No, it's so bad. Oh. Halloween is over. 'Tis the season then. And it's a scene from Revenge of the Sith where obviously Mace Windu tells Palpatine it's over and the famous "it's treason then," but they put a little Santa hat on him.
That's so good. This is actually just this should have been in news. Actually, is we got the release of the news over the summer of the Lando show. Well, they actually released a poster for it.
This is great.
It's actually a poster that says Lando because they did release a logo.
Mm-hmm.
That's the official logo, but instead of a photo of Lando Calrissian, it's
What do you mean? That is Lando Calrissian.
it's live action Ezra.
That is Lando.
In the Rebels cartoon, Ezra would famously give a lot of fake names. One of them was constantly Lando.
My uncle's the Emperor. Very big. My uncle works at Nintendo vibes.
Mm-hmm.
I just want you to look at this one. This is a scene from Rebels where they find the clones on that planet.
What?
Do you remember? Do you know the context for this?
I guess not.
Oh my gosh! So the Ghost crew go to this desert planet. It's in season 2.
I remember the episode. Is there context for what the hat is?
It's just a
yeah,
hat.
okay.
It's from.
I remember the episode. Yeah. Sorry, I thought I
So
misunderstood the
for
question.
context, this is where they find the clones, and the clones are like, "We're gonna help you if you help us fish this big beast," and they use Zeb as bait. But so it's a screenshot. You've got Kanan, Ezra. I forgot his name. Gregor.
Yeah.
And I think that's Wolf in the background. And so they are fishing. And someone has photoshopped all 4 of them with the hat of "Women want me, fish fear me" hat. It's just so good.
Good edit. Good edit.
So good.
Here's another scene from one of my favorite comedies, Young Frankenstein. Except for, the original 3 main characters are Igor and Victor and his assistant, whose name I'm totally blanking on. I think it's like Helga or something. But over these three characters instead is Anakin as Igor, Obi-Wan as Frankenstein, and Ahsoka. And Anakin says, "Wait, Master, it might be dangerous. You go first."
On brand.
Okay, what else you got?
Scene from Ahsoka where Hu Yang starts with, "I got the hiccups!" Sorry.
You don't have to yell. We've got the audio turned up this week.
I'm so far away. Where Hu Yang says, "A long time ago in a galaxy."
I'll read it. Hu Yang, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, and someone has put George Lucas's face on the Leonardo DiCaprio pointing meme.
Thank you.
Oh, there it is. I'm trying to do it like George Lucas, though. I wrote that. They stole my line. They stole my franchise, even though I sold it to them.
And I'm living in money.
It says Anakin returning to Tatooine a year after his mom dies just to make sure he got them all. And it's a picture of famous white trash star Kid Rock running across the hot sand, like how you expect someone to run across hot sand. He's shirtless. Obviously referencing to the make sure you got them all, the sand people.
Making sure they're all dead.
Yeah. This is a bizarre meme.
Okay. Obi-Wan, he will not let me down. He never has. Anakin.
Gosh dang it. I thought we were done with this. Ugh, that's a 3-week-old meme and smells like it.
It's that. Is it? It's not.
It's Kevin James from King of Queens. Again.
But Anakin's hair and clothing has been photoshopped on him. Oh, so good.
Speaking of Photoshop and hair, someone has swapped young and older Anakin's hair and put the long hair on young Anakin. Excuse me. And put young Anakin's bowl cut on older Anakin. It's very uncouth. What else you got?
No caption, just vibes.
What? Why? I feel like the deeper joke here is, so what it is someone has taken Optimus Prime and put him into the painting of the Last Supper. But that is definitely, I feel like the joke is this is something that should have been on the wall of photos and paintings in Transformers 5.
So funny, I love it.
So this says Star Wars spacecraft based off real life. And so you have the very famous Blackbird next to the Naboo ship from Episode 1. And you've got a helicopter that looks a lot like the Republic gunship. And then you've got a different helicopter and the...
Nice!
And is that Fifth Brother? What's his name?
Fifth Brother.
With his double-sided blade that famously uses as a helicopter blade in
So
Rebels.
good. So good. The Empire. We don't have to pay for more ships. We can just make them fly. I actually should read this one. This is from Rise of the Beasts, when the Autobots see the beacon for the first time.
So RC is looking at the big beam in the sky, and she says, "Prime, this is RC. I have a visual. What am I looking at?" And then it just cuts to Optimus Prime, and it says IDK, and it's got the crying emoji. Is there a deeper joke here that I don't get?
I just thought it was really funny.
So here's a little bit of an older meme format that I always find funny.
Cova checks out.
So it's from the scene in Rogue One whenever the Death Star shows up to the final battle. And right before it shows up, one of the Rebel commanders says, "Sir, we're detecting a massive object emerging from hyperspace." But then instead of the Death Star, it's a giant young Anakin's head. And he says, "I'm a person and my name is Anakin."
Oh my god.
What else you got?
Check your kids' Halloween candy carefully. Someone tried to hide Kanan and Jarrus' heroic sacrifice inside this candy bar. It's a picture of a cut open Snickers, and someone has photoshopped the image of
That will
Kanan
make your kids
holding back
cry,
the
for
fire.
sure. That will hurt them. That will traumatize them. Speaking of Kanan, this image also features Kanan.
Oh.
It just says family reunion,
Stop.
and it's got Sabine standing in front of a pile of ash.
That's not a Kanan joke. That's her family
Oh
joke.
shoot! I forgot. I knew that. I forgot
No!
because of the Kanan thing. Yeah, that's right. Because her entire family got nuked.
Oh, I got turned into glass. Oh, man.
All right, what else you got?
Family reunion. It is the
Oh my!
Rebels
Yeah,
and live
I saw
action
this.
comparison.
Yeah.
All the live actions. Of course, Kanan is replaced by his son.
Shoot, I'm forgetting his name too.
What's his name?
Oh,
Oh my
shoot.
gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Jason.
Jason. The most bland name.
Yeah, really. Imagine being named Jason.
And then, we've got all the live action. Then we've got live action Ezra. And it's Jabba the Hutt.
Jabba the Hutt. So famously, there's that scene from Phantom Menace when Qui-Gon and young Anakin are running to the ship, and Anakin and Qui-Gon turns around and sees Maul coming at them in his bike, and he goes, "Anakin, duck!" But someone's taken and put a duckling over Qui-Gon, over Maul, and it's just a big duck coming at Anakin.
Parents, please check your children's candy this Halloween.
Oh my
I just
gosh.
found the Death Star plans taken from the engineering archive in the data vault at the Citadel Tower on Scarif inside a Kit
Oh
Kat.
my gosh. Hilarious.
Look, we missed Halloween!
I know. We were supposed to record the day after. I apologize for the coughing.
I got 4 more.
I think I cut that all out.
She's been awake long enough to pay attention.
There's this meme format from Toy Story. This kid, the scene where they think, "Oh, that's a small toy or a small gift," and he turns and it's really long. Well, the short side is labeled "A Simple Pod Race," and the long side is labeled "The Complete Destruction of the Jedi Order."
On relation to that, I don't have this meme, but it was that comparison of Qui-Gon saying, "I believe," or wherever Qui-Gon's defending Anakin or something, like, "There's something about him." And then the next slide is, "Ladies and gentlemen, 16.7 billion dead." So one of my favorite trends on the internet is people photoshopping Twitter threads into characters. And so on this tweet, Ezra, "I like going to the Imperial Dome for fun." The original thread between this is some person and Walmart.
I see. Okay.
And so the Empire, aka Walmart.
Oh yes.
It's the small things, Ezra. What's your favorite thing to do in our complex, Ezra? Steal.
That was my last meme.
Oh, I have 3. Okay, so
Okay,
anyways,
keep going.
a throwback to the Ahsoka. Sisters, I once again call upon your dark magic.
Yeah, it's the 3 witches from
Hocus
Hocus
Pocus.
Pocus. Yeah. Honestly, not any less goofy looking than the witches in Ahsoka.
I snatched this off of Twitter a month and a half ago, and I never had the option. It's just a screenshot from the Transformers 1980 movie. "No, Optimus, you can't die." Starts beatboxing. I've had this
That's
for
great.
so long. Anyways, my last one. "Therapy is nice, but obsessing over the found family dynamic of an animated Star Wars children's show is a lot faster and cheaper." And it's like one of those like do it for her collages, but it's just pictures of the Ghost Crew from Rebels.
Good stuff.
Good.
Okay, I'm texting you my memes now. Here they come.
Well, I'm gonna have to remove all of the other things real quick. So
Oh my gosh. Well, in the meantime, So we'll be back next week with something.
We'll be back.
Whatever that is going to be. And I'm trying to think. I feel like I watched something Star Wars related in the last 2 weeks I wanted to recommend, but now I can't remember.
Was it?
I need to look at my YouTube. No, I did rewatch Andor with my wife, and we had a ton of fun.
My wife.
That does make me think of the Andor soundtrack.
So good! Anyway, sorry.
Mark that time code down to turn that volume down, Athena.
She's got her pen.
The soundtrack is very specifically really good for like fall music. Like if you're driving around on like a rainy day, cloudy day in the fall, highly recommend. Also, shout out to superfan Megan. We had lunch with her a few weeks ago, and she got kind of a live in-person podcast episode where we started talking about the newly announced Black Series figures that had been announced that day. So
we forgot to talk about that today.
We don't need to talk about it. We already talked about it.
If anyone ever wants to watch Andor with me, you get to sit with me as I name every single soundtrack once it starts.
Okay, Rachel. We have to bring up the score.
Oh, that's never correct.
Yeah, it is now. See, now I got a document. Okay, this is week 15. It is currently...
Give it up for week 15.
Oh my gosh. You are at...
Sorry, I was pulling up the Twitter. Why do we have 20 notifications on Twitter?
It's probably just like, hey, we're charging you $1 now if you want to keep on zero.
Oh, no, we just get notifications of when people are tweet now, and I don't even like them.
So I am 7-7, very mediocre 7-7, and you are 10-4.
10-4.
I am going. See, now I'm out of my game. I'm unpracticed now. I've got two main contenders here that I'm considering.
You get some Athena ASMR in the background.
Yeah, crunching hard. Yeah, my main. I am gonna guess. I'm gonna just analyze these a little bit more real quick. Is it the Zeb throws objects? I got it! Woo! That's funny. I like it.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Did you have a good munch? Athena, help me pick out what meme Cameron made. See, you're throwing me off because you're like, one of my favorite movies is Frankenstein.
I had 3 straight losses. Or 2 straight losses? Two straight losses.
Is this loss?
No, shut up. Stop that.
See, I never know now because I never know if yours is going to be clear or not.
I'm not trying to trick you. I just make a meme. If it's a very simple meme, I will think about my choice of font, so the choice of font doesn't give me away, but other than that, it's normally just whatever.
I have a couple of contenders. Is it this one?
Sir, we are detecting a massive object from hyperspace. I'm a person. My name is Anakin. Is that your final answer?
Yeah.
No, I did not make that one.
Dang it.
I made the Young Frankenstein one.
Dang it!
That is okay.
That was one of my other guesses. If I guessed wrong.
That's okay. You're still at 10-5, which is quite good. That's 2/3 correct so far. I also created this fun chart here so the blues are my wins and the grays are your wins, and you can see that mine really stagnate after halfway through and yours exponentially grow. Not exponentially, but progressively grow.
And Caleb's doesn't move at all.
Yeah, and Caleb's are the same. Well, cool. Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight, guys. Thank you to Rachel for being such a great podcast co-host. I've been looking forward to that. We were supposed to podcast last week, but I got sick.
And it was funny because I think it was last time. I've wanted to talk about that stinking hyperspace scene from Ahsoka for like 5
Over
weeks.
a month. Yeah, it's been a while. I appreciate you holding out. It was well worth it.
We were gonna do it last time, and then Cameron forgot.
No, but Rachel, that was great. I'm glad that you saved that. That was definitely one of the deeper, more analytical moments we've had on this podcast, and I appreciate you. I got to bring up the closing here. This part. Okay, so as always, thank you.
Oh, oops, my bad.
No, do you have more to say?
Big props to Cameron for me texting him about once a week. Ahsoka favorite moment.
I need the reminders. Thank you so much, Caleb Jacoby, for our intro and outro music. That's the only consistent part of this podcast is the music. Props to Rachel for our amazing artwork, also consistent, and our Twitter account at RebelsRobotsPod.
Props to Cameron for running our Facebook, which is far more active than our Twitter.
I'm proud of the Facebook. Check us out. I think I post funny stuff on there.
The amount of times I'm scrolling through my feed and I go, oh, that's good for Rebels Robots. It said it's Rebels Robots.
Yep. Give us something to read on the pod. Leave a review, tweet or DM us memes or opinions.
But do not review us on Amazon.
Yes, because it will never
see
get seen. This is Cameron and Rachel signing off saying, don't buy a towel that is the Star Wars Episode 1 Phantom Menace poster because it has smooth-faced Liam Neeson on it and it'll scare your cat.
Wow.
And stay tuned for Rebels and Robots and whatever.
Et cetera.
And et cetera. Good night, everyone.
Good night.